Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Manny here once again. Welcome to another WNBA lineup advice video here at DFS Zone. And before I continue, like always, guys, I appreciate you drop a like. And if you have not subscribed yet to the channel, please do so down below. And do not forget to turn on those notifications. This way you do not miss any of my new uploads. With that being said, today is July 20th. Friday, July 20th, 2018. We have a three-game slate in the WNBA. We have Seattle at Connecticut, Dallas is at Chicago, and Indy is visiting LA. I do have implied totals for all three games as of right now. If there's any updates, they will be on later on today. I will be on again an hour before lock tonight for another live stream. So you're all welcome to come and let's discuss the slate. I will have more statistical data information for later on this evening. All right. So let's move on. Seattle at Connecticut. We have here, these teams have faced each other two times, and Seattle has won both games. They won game one, 103-92, and it took game two, 84-70. There's been really no contest in the two games, but one thing to point out, Alyssa Thomas was not available for those two games, so obviously she is back. I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not, but we'll find out. Connecticut is coming in 12-11. Well, first of all, implied totals in the game, 173 I have right now, with Connecticut at home favored by 2. Okay, that's right now at the current time by 2. Connecticut's coming in 12-11, and they're 2-3 over the course of their last 5 games. So they're basically playing under 500 ball. And during the course of those 5 games, they played 3 games at home and they're 1-2. So they definitely are not playing good basketball. They're on the brink. They are the 8th seed right now coming into this game. They really need to win every possible game here, because they're finding themselves pretty much out of the playoffs right now. Team statistics for Connecticut. They are 3rd in points and scoring at 86 points per game. They're 4th in pace with 81 possessions per game. They're 5th in field goal percentage at 44.9%, pretty much 45%. They're 7th in three-point shooting at 34.9, round that off to 35%. 1st in rebounding with 37 rebounds per game. They're 7th in assists with 19 a game. 8th in steals with 6.7 steals per game. 8th in blocks at 3.3. Percentage points from 2, they're 5th in the league, shooting 59.2%. And points per game given up to guards, they're pretty much 2nd, still fairly good up front, in the backcourt, just giving up 28.8 points per game. And in the front court, defensively, they're 11th in the league. They have improved since Alyssa Thomas has come back, but they're still in the bottom of the barrel here at 52.3 points per game. On the other side of the ball, Seattle, very, very good team, top team in the league, 17-6 coming in. They're 3-2 over the course of the last 5 games, and they've played 2 games on the road, and they have split both games, winning one and losing one. They come in 2nd best scoring team in the league at 87.7, pretty much 88 points per game, 7th in pace, 80 possessions per game. They are 1st in field goal percentage at 47%. They're 6th in three-point percentage at 35.2%. They're 6th in rebounding at 35.4%. They are 1st in assists at 21 assists per game. They're 2nd in steals at 7.8 steals per game. They are 4th in blocks, 4.3 blocks per game. Percentage points from 2, they struggle there. Most of their point, not that they struggle, they just basically shoot more. They are one of the teams that actually shoots quite a bit of shots from 3 as well. So 59.3% from 2-point range. 59.9%. They're pretty much 54%. They're 10th in there. And then points per game given off the guards, they're 3rd at 29.7 points per game, offering up to guards. And they're 3rd in defending forwards and centers, keeping them at bait at 47.5 points per game. Now, real quickly, I read all that stuff there. If you slow this thing down and you look back at it, we have them 1st in field goal percentage, 6th in three-point shooting, 6th in rebounding, 1st in assists, 2nd in steals, 4th in blocks, 2nd in scoring. They're in a lot of statistical categories. Seattle is one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why they are the number 1 team in the WNBA. All right. We go into the game. Let's go right into Seattle, Connecticut. Right offhand, we start seeing here Jewell Loyd, Sue Bird. I'd be honest with you, Jewell Loyd is not a bad play. I'm not on Jewell Loyd today. Sue Bird, definitely like Sue Bird a little bit more at 6,800. You need pretty much from Sue Bird 34, and she's pretty much averaging 24. And what I do is, obviously the price is still a little high, but I want to make sure she's at least playing above her average, and she has been 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty much 4 out of her last, I have her here, 9 out of her last 11 games, she's been putting up 24 or better. So she has actually, has been increasing slowly but surely. They have played each other twice. She put a 26 spot in the first game. Okay, right here in 23 minutes, which is 1 fantasy point per minute. And then on the previous game, she put up 25 in 25 minutes. So she has been at 1 fantasy point per minute throughout both games. And, you know, she's capable of getting you 30 to 35. So she has a little bit of an upside there. So if you're looking at anybody here, definitely Sue Bird will not be a bad play. Between the two guards back here in the backcourt for Connecticut, I like Jasmine Thomas more, a little more success against Seattle this year. And she is $500 cheaper. Now, remember, Seattle's coming in third best in, like I said before, third best in defending against guards, just giving up only 29.7 points per game. And they have been slightly a little off in the last 3 games. I calculated they've been giving about 34 points per game to guards. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there for someone to have a decent game. And I think it's going to be Jasmine Thomas. She did have a 52 spot in game 1, which I wanted to point out, one of the reasons why. There it goes right here, 30 minutes, 52 fantasy points. She put up 29, 5, 6, and 3. She filled up the stat sheet well. But the last time out, let's see here. Last time out, she only put up 17 in 24 minutes right here on July 1st. 24 minutes, 9, 6, and 3, only 16.7. I rounded off to 17. But the potential's there. You know, she's capable of getting you 30 to 35. So I think Jasmine Thomas is not a bad play if you wanted to go with someone there. When I go, I look any further, I have to be honest, in this game, maybe a little sneaky play. I'm not on anybody else. I'm not on Canada, Bantam, Strickland, maybe Clarendon at 3,300 could possibly be a value play. You know, she's averaging, you need about 15 for that. She's averaging 10. I like the fact that she is starting to get a little bit more minutes slowly but surely. She started with 7, then 14, then 15, 16, 17, and she's pretty much been doing, you know, 10 plus pretty much 3 out of the last 5 games. So, I mean, if the game gets a little out of hand and Seattle's starting to pull away here a little bit, you could see her probably getting a little bit more run. And it'll be the same for Strickland or even Bantam. But I'm thinking Clarendon here, all right, for value. We go to the forwards. Definitely like these girls up front. Obviously, Breanna Stewart is in play. I mean, why wouldn't she? Breanna Stewart, 8,700. You need 44, pretty much 44, and she's averaging 43. That price is just about right. What we want to know is she has been at 43 or not, and she has been. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, you can stop. You know, there's no need to count anymore. She is definitely a fine play here. She's played Connecticut. She put up a 31 spot in the last game, which is definitely a low scoring game for her as far as fantasy points. But the previous game before that, game 1, she put up a 47.8, which is pretty much 48 fantasy points in 34 minutes. She had a 23, 9, 4, and 3 game. So, I mean, Breanna Stewart is definitely in good shape. Remember, Connecticut is coming in 11th in defending forwards and centers, giving up 52.3 points per game, guys. 52.3 points per game. And I calculated their last 3 games, and they have been a little bit better. They have dropped that down to one floor point less at 51.3. So they're still giving up over 50, and I think that this is just a tough matchup for Connecticut up front. Stewart, Natasha Howard are definitely in play. Alyssa Thomas, I'm going to mention her for Connecticut simply because she did not play in the 2 previous games against Seattle, so she may make a difference. She has played fairly well since coming back. She did have this 18 here against Minnesota, but obviously that was, you know, a game that they just destroyed Minnesota, and obviously they didn't need her to be on the floor that long. But 18 and 21 minutes is still fantastic. 33 here and 32 and 40. So she's putting up 31 plus in 3 out of the last 4 games. And if this game was a closer game, she would have played more than 21 minutes. She would have been in the 30-minute mark and possibly would have had about 35, 40 fantasy points. So she's in good shape there. Seattle, on the other hand, Seattle's third. What I have here for Seattle? To be totally honest, when you're looking here at my stats, Seattle in the last 3 games have actually improved in their defense against forwards and centers. They came in at 48 .7 and fourth best, and they are basically have been at 47 on the nose. So they improved by just maybe a half a point or better. So they have been very consistent in how they defend the front court. So definitely a tough task for Connecticut with a tough defensive team up front in Seattle. So I definitely still favor Stewart, and Natasha Howard is definitely in play. All right, 7,500. You need 36. She's averaging 30. And when I looked at her, she has had 4 out of her last 7 games. She's had 30 plus. So it's not too bad, a little over 500 if you consider the games. But she has a 37 spot, pretty much a 38 spot here in 22 minutes, which is outstanding against Connecticut in the last game. And in the prior game before that, she put up a 32 and 29. So she's averaging more than 1 fantasy point per minute in the 2 games easily, maybe like 1.08, 1.10. And I'm sure she is going to be in a position to do that again today up front. So she's definitely someone to consider here at 7,500 if you want to save $1,200. I think this is the game that is going to be the most, possibly the closest. Could get out of hand. It could, we've seen it happen where teams like Seattle or Connecticut just don't play. But Connecticut is at home. They did lose those 2 games to Seattle. They want some payback, and those 2 games were in Seattle. So we have to give Connecticut at least the benefit of the doubt here. They're going to try to play very hard against the best team in the league. So they should get up for the game. It should be. This is the one game I think that everybody should target, because the other 2 games could get very ugly. You got 2 bad teams playing in the 2 later games. Shania Gumake in play as well, 7,300. Why shouldn't she? She's an all-star. She's one of the better players for Connecticut. Not quite where her numbers should be at 7,300 as far as price. For that price, you need about 36, and she's not had a 36-point game in 3 games. But she is definitely 40-point upside. GPP play is perfect. Her minutes have been down, but if her minutes come up and she plays a little bit better today, I would think they need her badly today. So I would say she definitely is someone to consider. Remember, I already pointed out Seattle has been very, very tough up front. They've been keeping teams, even during the course of the last 3 games, at 48 points per game for the front court players. Jonquel Jones, I'm not on Jonquel Jones. I do like Miss Clark a little bit better. 5,600. You need about 27. She's averaging 18. And I'm looking at 18, and I'm saying to myself, let me see if she's getting 18. She's been at 21 plus over the last 5 games. And she's getting the minutes. She is playing. She's starting. She can shoot the 3. So there's a lot of things to like about her. I will have more information on her later on this evening. All right, but I think Alyssa Clark is someone here at first look. She is definitely someone in play for this game. So Alyssa Clark is in play. I'm not on anybody else here. If you're looking for a value play, I would say you could consider Miss Lewis or Miss Paris or Langhorne, any one of those Seattle players, only if this game gets out of hand. And that's the whole thing. We just don't know. We just don't know. Vegas has it that it's a 2-point favor, just a 2-point margin here. And you know what? This game could get pretty ugly if Connecticut does not knock down shots. All right, so we'll see what happens there. But those are 3 girls to think about, and I will have a little more information on that later. Let's go to game number 2. The games are going to get ugly. Game number 2, we got Dallas at Chicago. And we have implied totals of 177 total points in this game, with Dallas favored by 7. Keep in mind, Dallas played last night on a back-to-back. Coming into the game, these guys have played each other 1 time before, and Dallas won that game big, 108-85, and that happened to be in Dallas. They are playing in Chicago today. Chicago's coming in 7-16. They're probably, I think, 11th in the league in the standings. They're 2-9 They are 1-4, over the last 5 games. They're 1-4, and during that stretch, they have played 3 games at home, and they're 1-2. So they have had a losing record throughout over the course of the last 5 games. They come in 7th in scoring at 80.7 points per game, 5th in pace. They definitely like the pace game, averaging 81 possessions per game. 8th in field goal percentage at 43.5%, 2nd in 3-point shooting at 35.5%, 9th in rebounds at 32.7 rebounds per game, 3rd in assists with 20 assists per game, 9th in steals at 6.7, 7th in blocks at 3.8 blocks per game. They are 8th in percentage points from 2 at 55.7%. They are 10th in points per game given up to guards, giving up 34.3 points per game, and they are dead last in defending forwards and centers, offering up 53.2 points per game. On the other side of the ball, Dallas is, first in scoring at 88 points per game, second in pace at 82.4 possessions per game, fourth in field goal percentage at 45%, 11th in three-point shooting. They really are not that good there at 31.5%. Second in rebounding at 36.6 rebounds per game. They're ninth in assists at 18.3 assists per game. They are sixth in steals at 7 steals per game. Third in blocks at 4.8 blocks per game. Percentage points from two, they are ninth at 54%. Points per game given up to guards, they are seventh there, offering up 32 points per game, and they are fourth in points given up to forwards and centers at 47.2 points per game. We look at the ball game here. Skylar Diggins-Smith, I told you guys last night and yesterday that she was definitely someone in play. She did not play well because the front court of Dallas has been just phenomenal. They've just been beating up everybody, during the course of the last few games. But Skylar Diggins-Smith is in an incredibly good matchup here. Just recently, Chicago gave up 52 fantasy points to Jewel Lloyd of Seattle. And now they got to battle probably the best guard in the league in Diggins-Smith. So Diggins-Smith played 37 minutes last night, only got a 16.3. But, hey, you know what? 8,400, you need pretty much 42 from her. She has 50-point upside. As you can see, she had 3 50-point games in the last 5-6 games. She's just explosive. I see her having a big game here today. The only hope is the game Chicago plays well enough at home to keep this game a little competitive so that us fantasy players can really tally up some fantasy points today. Because if not, like last night, I had McCautry and Breland, and they were doing so well, and then all of a sudden the game just got out of hand, and unfortunately, those girls didn't play the entire way. Thank goodness I had Sanders and others that played fairly well. Let's move on. Courtney Vandersloot, 7,700. I'll just mention her simply because, hey, she's been steady. She's been steady. She's not getting what you need for 7,700, but at 28 per game on average, she's got 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of the last 11 games or so. She's been at least 30 points or better. And that's not including the 28 here. We'll make it 10. So she is someone to consider. If you want to play her. She did put up a 35 spot here. As you can see, a nice balanced game, 11, 4, 7, 1, and 3 against Dallas and in 30 minutes at Dallas. Okay, so Courtney Vandersloot could be someone you can consider here. She plays well enough. She can keep this game a little competitive between her and the girls up front. Dolson. Hopefully Cheyenne Parker plays a little bit more today. And, of course, just between her and Allie Quigley, that combination usually keeps them in fairly close in games throughout the course of the season. So maybe that's where they need to be at. Let's put it that way. So Courtney Vandersloot could be someone to consider. The price is a little high. I would rather pay for Diggins-Smith or play one of the guards in the Seattle-Connecticut game. Diamond DeShields, 6,500. You could consider her. Remember, Diamond DeShields is a small forward or power forward at times for Chicago. She does not play guard. Okay, I mentioned this before. This is just obviously for those who have never been here and you don't know too much about the WNBA. Definitely Diamond DeShields has been playing small forward. 24, 20, 26, 29. It's been steady for 20 or better. She's averaging 23. We look at 23. She's close here. Once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last 7 games, pretty much 5 out of the 7, she's had 23 or better. The minutes, I prefer them to be a little higher. She has been steady with 14, 14, 10, and 15 as far as scoring on the floor. Someone to consider. Am I really on her? No, but I think she could be someone you can consider. We're looking at Dallas. Dallas has only given up 32.5 points per game. And in the last 3 games, they've just only been giving up 35.6. So they're offering up only 3 more points per game over the course of the last 3 games. So it's not like Dallas is just getting beat up back there. They're not. So Dallas is playing well in the backcourt, only giving up 3 more points per game on average over the course of the last 3 games. So that's something to consider if you want to consider DD here. Allie Quigley, I'm not on Allie Quigley today. I will probably want to play Courtney Vandersloot over her if I'm going to choose any one of those 2 guards in this particular game for Chicago. Alicia Gray is definitely in play. Her price is starting to go up now, $5,300. You need about 26 from Ms. Gray. She's averaging 18. We're looking to see if she's done 18. 1, 2, 3, pretty much 4 out of the last 6 games. She does play great minutes, 28 through 37 over the last 3 games. I mean, Dallas as a unit has been playing really, really well. These two girls in the backcourt between Diggins Smith and her have been playing excellent. And then the front court girls have been just so dominant. And that's where I want to target the most is the front court players. Not on Gabby Williams, not enough there. A little quiet plays here. Miss Cooper could be someone, especially if Chicago, if this game gets out of hand. Miss Cooper is someone in play. Same with Harper, but I would say Cooper more because I think she plays more minutes. Let's see. She has also 20-point upside. I think she's reached 21, so twice. Yeah, she did 21 and 21 against Seattle the other day. And obviously that's a good point. So you see how I mean, if the game gets out of hand, they were getting destroyed by Seattle. And as you can see, she got 21 minutes. So you could look for her to possibly be a nice play. All right. And that's pretty much it for me here. I mean, Kayla Davis, maybe if Dallas is destroying Chicago, maybe and she will get more time on the floor, and then maybe they'll sit Gray and Diggins Smith a little bit more. So Kayla Davis is someone to consider here too. Only in a blowout situation, it's just tough to gauge, because Chicago, man, we cannot sleep on Chicago, guys. Don't sleep on Chicago. Look in here. I did that little research too before coming on. Chicago at home have beaten Minnesota. They have beaten Las Vegas, Atlanta, Phoenix, and New York. And I named 4 teams there that are pretty much on a playoff hunt. Atlanta, Minnesota, Vegas, and Phoenix. So 4 out of those 5 wins at home have been against competitive teams. So they step it up. Surprisingly, they do get up for some of these games. And they lost a couple of games pretty close. They lost to Vegas by 4 points one time. They lost 1 game to Seattle only by 4. And they lost 1 game to New York by 4, and they won 1 by 5. So, I mean, yeah, they could be competitive. All right, let's go over to the forwards. Liz Cambage, I mean, there's nothing much I can say about her. She has been just totally in beast mode. 8,800. You can pay up for her and take a roll. She's going to be possibly chalky today because of these 2 massive games. She's been 63 plus in 2 straight games in 35 to 36 minutes, respectively. She put up 35 floor points yesterday with 17 rebounds, and the game before that, 53 and 10 with 5 blocks. That's why those stats are even higher. But that is incredible. The front court in general have been playing well for Dallas. Okay? Chicago, and this is another reason why you should target some of these Dallas players. Chicago coming in before the last 3 games was giving up. They were dead last, offering up 52.5 points per game to front court players. In the last 3 games, that has increased to a whopping 62 points per game to forwards and centers over the course of their last 3 games. So I see another very ugly game here. Granted, this is a back-to-back situation here. Dallas just did play last night. I would think if they play today and they start getting this game gets really out of control. You can see some of those girls on the bench, like Miss Stevens, getting a little more time, Miss Powers, So you definitely got to consider that if this game gets out of control. All right, but Liz Cambage is in play. Gloria Johnson is in play. I'm not on her as of yet. I am not truly convinced. I really rather pay down $600 cheaper and get Miss Azurá Stevens, who's been really, really good. She is a rookie and playing very, very well for Dallas. Definitely blending in on this team. 19, 17, 21, and 26, 35, 24, 13, and 18. I like that she's been doing 19 or better in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. Count this one here, 8, 9. That's like 9 out of the last 11, 12 games. That's enough for me to to take a further look on Azurá Stevens. And on top of that, I already told you, she has 30-point upside, almost 35 points. And like I said before, Chicago's been giving up a whopping 62 to the front court. So if Cambage is getting this game gets a little out of control, you may see Stevens in there a little bit more, and Powers and so on and so forth. So Azurá Stevens definitely in play for me. Stephanie Dolson, the only one person you could probably consider for Chicago. I don't know what's going on with Cheyenne Parker. They let me down the other day. She only played 5 minutes. I have no idea what happened there. So I didn't hear of any injuries. But that was disappointing. I had her in about 3 of my 4 or 5 lineups, and it really hurt that she did only play 5 minutes. So I don't know what's the deal there. I'm not on her today. So Kayla Thornton and Dolson, yes. Kayla Thornton, obviously, I like her a little bit more at $100 cheaper. So definitely you should consider her. She's been on the up and up. 30, 29, and 30, 29 plus, pretty much 30 plus in 3 straight games. And she's averaging 21, so she's just blowing that away. And at 5,800, excuse me, you pretty much need about 27, 28 from her to cover that. So she is capable of doing that, and she's smashing that as well. So, I mean, so that is definitely good news there. Other than that, that's basically it. If you're looking at a blowout situation, obviously you're going to start thinking Aerial Powers and Miss Nador for Chicago, maybe even Elena Coates, and of course Kayla George. I will, touch on those possibilities again later in the live stream. Let's go over to the final game. I have here Indiana at Los Angeles. This is considered the ugliest game of the night. We have implied totals for this game are what I have here again. Implied totals are 155.5 with Vegas favored by 17 on my last count. I will have updated lines on the live stream later. Vegas is coming in 14-9. These teams have played each other twice already, and Vegas. Los Angeles is coming in 14-9, and they played each other twice. And Los Angeles, the Spark, have won both games. Game 1, 87-70. Game 2, 74-55. They were definitely, Indiana was not competitive then, and obviously that's one of the reasons why the lines are 17 plus. They've been horrific over the course of the last 5 to 6 games. So this is just going to be an ugly game. This is not one game that you really want to target at all, but I'm going to touch on it because it is one of the games on the slate. Los Angeles is coming in the last 5 games. They're 2-3, so they have been playing poorly as well. 0-2 at home, and this is a home game. So Indiana, you never know. They did go in there and beat Minnesota in Minnesota. So out of the 2 games they had, that was the one good game they had, and that was more so because Minnesota was just not shooting the ball well. But and that can happen against poor teams. So hopefully LA will put a 100% effort here and try to just beat up in these guys quickly. I expect them to. All right, so it's a very, very easy game to really decide if you were playing this game straight up. As far as lines are concerned, I would probably take a stab on that 17 with Los Angeles. All right, moving on. Los Angeles scoring, they're 8th in scoring in the league, 79.4 points per game. They're last in pace, only 78 possessions per game 78 possessions per game. Field goal percentage, they're 2nd in field goal percentage at 46.3. They're 5th in 3-point shooting at 35.4%. They're dead last in rebounding with only 30 rebounds per game. 8th in assists at 18.6 per game. 1st in steals at 8.3 steals per game. They are 9th in blocks at 3 blocks per game. Percentage points from 2, they are 2nd best at 62%. So a lot of they definitely shoot up. Obviously, with them being poor at 3-point fairly decent at 3-point shooting, they don't take a whole lot of shots there. It's one of the reasons why is they keep the ball within the 3-point circle, and they're pretty much a 2-point shooting team. 62% there. Points given up to guards, they're number 1 at 27.8. They're very, very stingy there as far as defending against guards. They've been good all year long. So definitely you don't want to target nobody from Indiana in the backcourt. Points per game for forwards, they're 5th, giving up 48 points per game. On the other side of the ball, Indiana coming in 2-21, and they have lost in the last 5 games. They are 0-5, and they are 0-3 in that stretch on the road. So I don't expect them to come up with any miracles here today. They are last in points scoring, 75 points per game, 11th in pace, pretty much at the bottom, with 79 possessions per game. They are 11th in field goal percentage, 41%, 10th in 3-point shooting, 31.6%, 10th in rebounding at 32 rebounds per game, last in assists at 15.2, last in steals with only 6 a game, last in blocks with 2.6. They're just horrific all the way down. Percentage points from 2, they are respectable there. Obviously, they have no choice but be up close, 60.7%. And they're dead last in defending guards in the defensive side of the ball, offering up 40.2 points per game, and they're 6th, middle of the pack, as far as points given up to forwards and centers at 48.8. You could round that off to 49 points per game. And when you look at the game here, right away, the only ones I see here, I am not on anybody on Indiana, and I don't advise anybody to be. This game is going to be a blowout. I can't see it. I mean, again, it's my opinion. Anything can happen. That's why the games are played. So any given day, any given Sunday, so to speak, any good team could lose to a bad team. The Lynx went through that. Hopefully the Spark don't go through that today because they definitely need these wins. But Chelsea Gray is in play. 7,100. You need 35. She's averaging pretty much 30. And 4 out of her last 6 games, she's been averaging 29 or better. So that is good to see. She did have a 36 spot against this team the first time around, right here, in 34 minutes. And then the previous game before that, which was early on, the second game of the year, she put up a 35 spot in 31 minutes. So she's in play. I mean, plain and simple. You know, the whole problem here is that you got to worry about the blowout situation. Hopefully this game stays fairly competitive for at least 3 quarters. And then they start blowing them out in the 4th quarter. They pull out, and she hopefully has already 30 fantasy points for you guys. So it's a risk, but she's definitely in a favorable position here. Going down, I'm not on Wheeler, Mitchell. Elena Beard, game time decision. Maybe we'll have some word later. I'll be able to update you on that injury later on. If she is to play, then I can see where Gray, if this game gets out of hand, she'll play a little bit more. And then she'll end up being a nice play here at 4,700. Other than that, Vivian's horrible. Kelsey Mitchell, these girls have been bad. Another girl, LA, which, you know, again, she's here as guard. She plays most of her time as small forward. Essence Carson, she'll be in play 4,500. You need pretty much 22. So I would say definitely same thing. If this game gets a little out of hand, you can see her playing a few more minutes. And that obviously will give us, in turn, possibly some more fantasy points during the course of that time. She has had 15 plus in 3 straight games. She did have a whopping 31 spot here against Seattle in 30 minutes. So again, she's playing the minutes from 26 to as much as 35 over the course of the last 3 games. So Essence Carson's in play. Going down a little, I'm not on Odyssey Sims. For the Indiana, the only one you can consider, and she's probably not going to be chalky today because she has been chalky, considering the blowout situation. Cappy Pondexter could be someone you can consider. 3,800. They have moved up $200. I think she was at 3,600 for the longest, and she has had 5 out of her last 6 games at 16 plus. So she has looked pretty good here since coming over after being let go by LA. And then, remember, this is a revenge game for her. She played for the Spark, and they let her go. They let her go. So I think that just hit me right now. So Cappy Pondexter, probably her first game back against her former team. This could be interesting today. So definitely someone to consider there at that price. She may want to go in Indiana. If they're falling apart, they might just leave her in there for her to just get busy on the Spark. So, definitely something to consider here. Miss Williams is another one. Definitely, again, blowout situation. I think she's in play. All right, so we go over to the forwards. Not much here. Obviously, Candace Parker is in play, 8,200, and he pretty much 41, and she's averaging 36. And she pretty much put a 60 spot twice over the last 3 games, 63 and 60. And then she put a 33 spot against Indiana the last time out in 29 minutes. Here it goes right here, 29 minutes, 15, 5, 2, 3, 33 fantasy points. She did not play in the first game earlier in the year. So she's going to be dominant here. Indiana, I mean, plain and simple, let me just give you some really quick numbers. Indiana in the last 3 games, they've been giving up to their opponents a whopping 61 points per game up front. So this game could get ugly pretty fast with Parker and Nneka Ogwumike. All right? I'm really concerned about that. So you may target these girls, but again, if this game gets out of hand, the only thing you can hope for if you decide to go with Ogwumike or Parker here is that you hope that Candice Dupree and Natalie Achanwa keep this game fairly close up front so that we can get 3 quarters out of them. And maybe, just maybe, a nice game for Parker and Ogwumike. All right? As long as the game is close, these girls are going to be playing. So that's the only thing you can hope for. So it's a risk, but these girls are in play. And basically, that is pretty much it for me for this game as far as forwards. It's very plain and simple. Ogwumike and Parker are in play. I'm not on Dupree or Achanwa. And then we go here. Lavender could be a sneaky, play, especially if the game gets out of control. Yeah, I mean, Mavunga has been getting a little time for Indiana. Maybe she'll get on the floor, especially if the game gets out of control. So, I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. This is not a game really to target. The 2 games to target are Seattle and Dallas and Chicago. That's pretty much it. Those are the ones that you should be focusing on. So that's where I'm at right now. Live stream tonight when I come on, hour before lock. Come on down. Let's discuss it. I will obviously give you my first 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to discuss what I think are the best possible plays. What are my sleeper plays? What are my FP, my fantasy point per minute plays that I think are best? and we can just sit down and talk for a little bit. We'll play. I figure I'll come on about maybe 6 o'clock and do like I did last night, pretty much 6:40 to 6:45, 45 minutes, and we'll discuss the slate. All right, guys. So that's basically it, man. Good luck putting these lineups together. I see you guys later on in the live stream. All right, everybody have a good day.